All right, all right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the December edition of Talk Dispatch with Tawana. I am so excited for tonight's edition because we're gonna talk about a few things to wrap up the rest of the year and see what your goals are for 2022 and introduce to some a wonderful person that could definitely bring you a different aspect of the transportation industry to add to your goals and to add to your services for next year. So we're going to go ahead and get this party started. I'm going to mute everyone. If anybody has any questions as we go along, you can drop your questions in the chat and you can also raise your hand, but we're going to mute everyone. Someone said they cannot hear me. If y'all can hear me, put a 1 in the chat. Okay, some people can hear me. That's what's up. All right, so the person who cannot hear me, you might want to check your speakers because there's 126 people that say they can hear me. All right, so as I was saying, if you have any questions as we go along, drop your questions in the chat or raise your hand so that we could not have any feedback as everyone is talking. All right, sound good? Cool beaners. Let's roll. All right, so my regular house rules, we don't have to go through all of that. You guys are normally here. My disclaimer, again, you guys are normally here, so we don't have to go through all of that today. I want to try to get through this really, really fast. And I think I missed the slide. Yes. So we're going to talk a little bit about 2021. There's been so many things that's been going on as far as dispatching and just the transportation industry, period. We want to make sure that you guys, especially ones who have, taken my course or getting ready to take my course or anyone's course, that you're prepared for the next year. You're prepared to do, whatever it is that you guys are trying to do for the following year. So any questions that you guys said they still cannot hear me, I'm sorry. So we want to see if you guys have any questions in reference to moving forward into the new year and what you've done so far with your year this year and how we can assist you or how we can help you to get your goals situated. So if you have any questions as I'm talking, you can go ahead and drop those questions in the chat. So we'll talk a little bit about, I think someone had emailed me earlier a question that they wanted me to address. So one of the questions was, it seems that DAT has been down a lot this year. How do you address not being able to utilize a load board and not being able to utilize a load board, and what do we do when load boards like DAT are not working? Okay, so I think we've addressed this question before, but I'll go ahead and address it again. You guys definitely want to be sure that you are utilizing your relationships, utilizing more than just one load board. DAT is a very good load board, but as she said, DAT has gone down a lot this year. So you want to be able to utilize the relationships that you build. Of course, being brand new dispatchers, you want to, you have to utilize your load board. You have to go to DAT and truck stops and things like that, but you have to figure out where do you go from there. Keep in mind, every single rate con that you have done, every time you've booked a load, that's a contact. So you go back to those contacts that you use on those rate cons. Anytime you've booked a load, you contact those brokers and ask them, do you have any loads? Start sending out emails to your list of brokers that you've built your relationships with, asking them if they have any loads. You can't just solely depend on DAT. Keep in mind also as well that load boards like larger brokers like Nolan Transportations, TQL, there's a few of them, CH Robinson, they have their own load board. So make sure you have logins to go into other load boards and not just utilizing DAT. You can't shut down your whole dispatch service because you can't get access to one load board. So start utilizing your resources. Utilize other dispatchers, see what type of resources they have. If you have the mentality that you don't want to utilize other dispatchers because you don't want to share your commission, or you don't want to have to split the 10% with the other dispatcher, that's definitely not going to be the way to go in this industry. If they have a connection or if they have something that can get your truck moving, that's always the goal. The goal is not to contact your carrier when your load board is down and say, hey, load boards are down, I can't help you. You still got to constantly continue to do whatever it is that you need to do to assist that carrier at the time. So if that's contacting another dispatcher, or if that's reaching out to someone else to be sure that, you know, maybe they have a contact or something that you can use to get your carrier moving, that's what we do in this situation. Been running drayage. Do you think it will die out? Drayage questions, Keisha. I would love to be able to be in that position right now to answer you, but I cannot just yet. But wait till my 6 weeks is over with Miss Shaq, and I might be able to answer. We might let her hold that question for Miss Shaq afterwards. My apology, camera not working. That's fine. Next question. How do you reduce deadhead? Why is it more profit for a full trailer? How do you reduce deadhead? I'll answer that first question. It all depends on where you are. So being sure that you guys are checking your market conditions. It all depends on where your truck is located, is when it comes to reducing deadhead. So if your truck is in a great area, you won't have to worry about deadhead. But typically when you are doing your searches on the load board, you want to do anywhere from 0 to 100 miles. And then you want to increase it to 150 miles from there. If you're not able to find a load, being it's on the load board or being your contacts from 150 miles, that's when you start to have a conversation with your carrier and ask them, hey, haven't been able to find anything to keep you in the range of low deadhead of 100 to 150 miles. Is it okay if we expand our deadhead a little bit? Is it okay if we go out a little bit more to look at a load? But it's always going to depend on where your truck is located, what the market is, and of course, what type of equipment that you're in order to, you know, reduce your deadhead and keep you moving, keep your truck moving in that aspect. And the second part of your question, why is it more profit for a full trailer? I'm assuming you mean a 53-foot dry van. Let me find you so I can unmute you. Where are you? Miss Kara Butler, can you unmute yourself? Because I'm not really understanding your question. No, you can't unmute yourself. All right, I'm gonna move on because I don't see her on here to unmute her and to answer that question. So I'm gonna move on. If you're still in the room, drop me a chat and I'll move on to your question from there. All right, Miss Middleton, Miss Shayna Middleton, where are you? Unmute yourself. Miss Shayna, Miss Shayna, Miss Shayna. Oh, sorry. There we go. Miss Shayna Middleton, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, yes, actually, I'm here. I'm sorry, this is actually Kira, but she can go ahead though. I'll come back.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm wonderful, how are you?
Good.
Okay, my question was basically like, I'm new to the industry. I have absolutely no knowledge at all. I came on this training just to see, you know, how to go about becoming a dispatcher. I'm not sure if it's, you know, I'm in the right place, but, you know, I wanted to see if I would be able to learn something from the training by starting off as a dispatcher to get into the industry. So I'm just trying to see if I'm in the actual right place to learn that information or gather some of that information.
You are. So you're saying you're not sure if you want to get in this thing, you're trying to get in?
No. I'm sure that I want to get into it. I'm just trying to you know, make sure that I was in the right place because I don't have any knowledge at all, you know, about becoming a dispatcher or even in the trucking industry for that matter. So I just wanted to kind of see if I was, you know, hitting on the right spot. So what is it that I would need to kind of do first? Is becoming a dispatcher like one of the first things that is good to do to try to even get your foot in the industry? I'm just trying to get like some information.
I definitely tell people to do some research to make sure that this is something that you want to do. And before you jump on anyone's course, do some research on the person whose course that you're taking to be sure that, you know, they have the knowledge that you're looking for, they have the education that you're looking for, and it's the course for you. Some people do in-person classes, some people do virtual classes. So it all going to depend on how you learn and the type of learning that you want to do in order for you to, you know, to be able to be successful in this industry. So do some research on it. Take a look at the different courses and information that's out there, and, you know, just be sure that it's the industry for you. But dispatching is definitely a good way to start. It kind of like teaches you the entry level into the transportation industry to allow you to, you know, grasp the information and things that you need, and then maybe move on from there. So if you want to decide you want to go from dispatching to brokering, or, you know, global logistics or whatever, this will, you know, kind of help you kind of get your feet wet into the industry.
Okay, thank you so much. That answered my question. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, Miss Kiera, are you still here? Butler? Gone? Okay. All right. Next question. All right. How many load boards is necessary in order to be successful in this industry? I have 2 right now and cannot seem to find those for the 3 or 4 carriers that I have available. I do not want to be on my, okay. All right. I wouldn't necessarily say you need a lot of load boards to be a part in this. It won't let you unmute again. I wouldn't necessarily say you need a lot of load board. It all depends on the type of equipment that you're dispatching for. So, you know, you're dispatching for flatbeds, or you're dispatching for hot shots, car haulers, box trucks. Most of those loads are going to be on DAT, as well as they're also going to be on company load boards as well. So if you have access to Nolan Transportation and C.H. Robinson and J.B. Hunt and those type of load boards, the same information, the same loads are going to be on there. There's specific load boards, like for car haulers, you're looking at load boards like, Central Dispatch and things like that. That's not something you need if you're not using a car hauler. So it just all depends. I'm not saying that you have to go out and spend $400 or $500 on load boards a month just to be successful in this industry. The point, the end goal in this is to be sure that you don't have to utilize the load boards all the time. So build your relationships more so with the brokers, so that you don't have to go out and spend $400 and $500 on load boards in order for you to be successful in this industry. But I definitely, you know, DAT, truck stop. And then from there, utilizing those free company load boards before you move on to purchasing any more load boards. I hope that answers your question, Miss Don't Want to Be on mic. All right. If you find someone that will let you dispatch for them, what would be my next step, seeing that I just started out? Miss Monica, unmute yourself. Miss Monica, can you unmute? Are you still here? Y'all, we got to get these questions out real fast when I call your name so we can move on. Miss Karen, I'm going to try to unmute you now. All right, Miss Butler, you should be able to speak. There you go.
Okay, it finally did.
Okay.
Basically, what I was meaning by that question is, I had seen a pattern with like C.H. Robinson where a lot of freight on a 53-footer. It was kind of giving me like more, like I was seeing a lot of higher loads versus when I was doing half of a trailer, or like partials. So I was kind of wondering, was that normal, or maybe that's just standard? Maybe I was doing something wrong.
When you say higher loads, you mean higher in rate?
Right. Yeah.
So you're seeing more, the rate being higher for partials.
Well, the rate is usually right. Let me see. Yeah, exactly. That's what I had. Yeah, that I had started seeing a pattern. So I was wondering why versus the full truckload. So
was it for 53 for drive-ins?
yes.
I'm not sure I can answer that. Normally,
Okay.
partials are not going to be the same price as a full truckload. But then again, it depends on what it is they're shipping and where it's going, and maybe the market at the time. But typically, it's like you're putting the 2 or 3 partials together in order to make a full truckload. So if you're getting better rates on partials than you are on full truckloads, that is kind of odd to me.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, Miss Monica, let me try to unmute you now.
Hey, Tawana.
Yeah.
You hear me?
I can hear you.
Got a question. Was she talking about the rate per mile or like the overall rate?
Kiara, can you hear him? Kiara, were you talking about the rate per mile or the overall rate?
I meant the overall rate is what I was getting, but it may have
been
line haul. It was for it was like the total rate. But it may have been last week, like I said, it was about 2 weeks ago when I had was looking at it. It may have been due at that time to like snow or weather we was having going on in the area. So that may have been a thing because it was like going from like Arkansas to North Carolina. So that may have been one of the reasons.
And it was a partial for a drive-in?
Right.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. That does sound weird.
Yeah, it sounds
That's not
weird.
normal.
Yeah, because like I said, typically you're not going to get that on a partial. But I mean, if it's a good load for your truck, I would have definitely booked it.
Yeah, and that's
the less freight you have, the better.
Right, exactly. So that's why I'm like, hold on, because that was my first time I had ever seen it. So I was like, if that's the case, then let me start using that way of booking or looking for more loads like that versus, the other way.
Did you contact the broker at the time?
I didn't. I was just like, let me save this particular load, and I'm gonna ask Tawana when class comes up because I want to know, because I was kind of I was kind of studying the loads that night, and usually I do, but I was like, nah, I was like, dang, I wonder why is it like that though.
Yeah, the next time contact the broker, make sure it's posted correctly. So when you contact the broker, he's going to give you all the details that you need. So you're going to ask him, what's the details of this load? He's going to say what the weight, what the miles, what the rate per miles, and so on and so forth. So it could have been an error in the way it was posted, because like I said, usually that's definitely not the case.
Okay. One more question too before you go. Since you did speak about Nolan a few minutes ago, like I normally utilize a lot of the free load boards. I do use DAT. And I do have access to like Selectus and my virtual fleet or whatnot. But I primarily use a lot of the free brokers, mainly if I can. But like Nolan, for example, is there like a back door to them, or like a lot of the loads that you see, is that truly like what they have? Like a lot of people used to say Nolan was really great. But to me, I'm just like, unless it's dependent upon area or unless there's some backdoor or secret to Nolan, I don't really see them being like an advantage like a lot of people, have said about them, unless it's a new thing with Nolan.
For me with Nolan, I just deal with one person. So I call Brandon and say, hey, this is where my trucks are located. Do you have anything? That would be my recommendation. Do you typically just call them?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you typically just call the number when you
put a load?
I
normally when I put a load from Nolan, I put either off the board or like I said, I have kind of, grew a relationship with like one of the guys within the last month. But I mean, I've gone through like several reps since I've gotten hooked up with them. But I'm like, overall, I'm like, I just don't get the results from people, like they say about Nolan. So I was just wondering, was it something that I was doing, or or was it maybe when everything was good with Nolan and now they're not, they're bad, or what?
Yeah, I would just stick with one rep. If you can just get one guy, because like I said, I've been dealing with Brandon for a few years now. I just let him know where my trucks are located. He'll email me and let me know where he has loads at, and if I have anything available in that situation. But when it comes like Nolan, CH Robinson, I just deal with one person. I tell them what load I'm looking at. If it's something that I see on the load board, and I deal with them when it comes to negotiating on the loads. For me, it works better with Nolan, definitely with Nolan, because they work a little different. So it's like the more loads they book, the better. So that's why they always say, Brandon's like, just call me if you see anything on the board, and I call him, and then he'll work it out with whatever broker they have it on with Nolan.
Okay, got you. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Miss Monica, let's try this again. Can you unmute? Yeah, no.
Okay, finally, I'm in.
It's Monica.
Okay, so my question was, and maybe that'll have to be saved for the 90-day program, but I'm being real with you, I'm lost in sauce. Okay, so I have taken your training course. I've also taken the training course through the computer, and I've done virtual. I recently just paid for the 90-day starter program. I've had a couple people want me to dispatch for them. And my biggest thing is I like to be proficient in whatever I do before I just jump out there. I don't feel that I'm equipped to do so. I've done a lot of research, like you said, just seeking out information. I followed a few people within the logistics companies. So I just kind of learned from them. But as far as just starting off yourself, I'm kind of lost. So I'm like, okay, if somebody just kind of reaches out to you, you already know, okay, let's ask their lane preference. Let's see if they have an MC number. Let's see if it's active. Do they have insurance? Things like that. But once I get past that part, I'm like, okay, so what do I do now? Do I get a load board? Like, I'm so confused. I haven't even got the LLC yet first because I want to kind of learn a little bit more before I kind of start dishing out money and stuff. So I just want to know, like, where do you start? Because I did pay for the 90-day starter program. And my assumption was that it was like walking us through how to start, but it was a Zoom meeting. And I'm like, I don't want to be on a Zoom meeting just asking 5,000 questions, you know?
Right.
So I'm a little confused.
So yeah, so we have a session scheduled for next week or 2 weeks from now, right?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, so definitely, if you have that PDF that we already sent you, I would definitely start with those first 5 steps, which is definitely you want to get your LLC, your EIN, get your business startup, and then get your agreement set up. In that sample agreement that I sent you, it has, the details as far as, what you're charging, who you are, what your service is going to be, what vehicles you've decided that you're going to start learning how to dispatch with first. And then from there, determining what your rates are going to be. And then you have, something like if you start sending people information as far as, hey, I'm dispatching, the first thing they're going to do is want to either visit your website or send, go to something as far as your business. So if you don't have any of that set up as of yet, then it's not looking like you have that business structure as of yet. So that's your first line of business, is to make sure that your business structure is done. And then from there, we work on, getting the carriers, vetting the carriers, make sure you're checking with FMCSA to make sure they're active carriers. And then from there, their vehicles, getting their carrier package and their documents situated, and then your load boards from there. So you're skipping some steps. I understand what you're saying, but we definitely want to make sure your structure is set up. And once we make sure your structure is set up, then from there, you're going into getting your carriers and moving forward from there.
Okay. Is there some class? Because I feel like maybe I kind of signed up for the wrong thing. Is there a class where it like shows you step by step? Okay, you start this way. After you do the training, you do this and you do that. Like, is there any type of training like that?
We can definitely talk offline, but when you signed up for the class, did you get those PDFs?
Yeah, I actually got the program manual, and then there was a PDF that came with the starter program, but it was, to me personally, it was vague. It still didn't like say, hey, you do this, you do that, you do this. So I was just kind of confused because it was something I already seen already. So I thought it was going to be kind of more in depth, and maybe that was just me. I probably signed up for the wrong thing.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely need to sign up to talk offline and see exactly what it is that you signed up for.
Okay.
So we can move forward from there.
Okay. We'll do. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Do you have to start a new LLC to dispatch, or can you run it under your existing trucking businesses? We always recommend you start something totally separate, but it's totally up to you. If you're going to be dispatching other vehicles, as long as you're utilizing their MC number, you should be fine with utilizing a dispatch company under your courier company. Me personally, I would keep them separate, but a lot of people do those two together. Definitely, if you're going to do anything when it comes to brokerage and dispatching, or brokerage and carrier, you definitely want to have those separate, but it's definitely a personal preference on how you decide to move forward from there. I hope that answered your question, Ms. Kira. What is the best way for a new dispatcher to track carrier loads? It's dispatch, truck stop, or an Excel spreadsheet without too much overhead. Is Excel, so you know. Ms. Shante, yeah, you can definitely start out with using Excel. I started out with using Excel spreadsheet, tracking the loads, tracking your carriers, putting all their information in, tracking every single thing about that particular load. From there, you definitely want to move into some type of TMS system. I use Interportal. And we're gonna talk later on. I'll show you guys how to get Interportal at a discounted rate. But Interportal will definitely help you to keep track of all of your carriers, your rate confirmations, your BOLs, and it's all cloud-based, so you don't have to have any of this type of stuff on your system. But starting out with Excel to lessen your costs is definitely a good way to start. But once you start bringing some revenue in, you definitely want to move up to a TMS system from there. Dispatch business or broker business should be separate. Dispatch, Ebony, say that again. Dispatch business and broker business should be separate. Is that a question? Ms. Williams, Ebony Williams? Let me let you unmute. Go ahead, Ebony, unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry, my house is completely loud. I apologize. Give me 1 second. Let me run away.
No problem.
I am new to, I got a toddler running behind me. Give me a second. I am completely new to the whole business. And I'm actually transitioning out of the medical field into this area. But I LLC my, sorry, give me a second.
Okay. We'll go on to another question until she comes back. All right. Is it appropriate to let a carrier know that I am a new dispatcher? It seems kind of misleading if I don't. Not misleading, but you definitely don't want to just shout out to everybody, hey, I'm a new dispatcher. Do you want me to, dispatch for you? So it's definitely going to be your approach to their questions and your approach to, dispatching for him. But I don't think it's necessary to just say, you're a new dispatcher. Make sure your website is up to date. Make sure all your business is set up, and make sure your flyers states who you are, what you do, what your services are, what your rates are for your services, and try to answer his questions as much as possible. That's the purpose of having some type of support group to assist you in the background versus you just letting everyone know that you're a new dispatcher. In my opinion, it's not necessary. All right, Ms. Ebony, if you ready, if not, we're going to move on. Can I dispatch out of my business, or should I start a dispatch business? Again, me personally, when it comes to broker, you have to think about it this way. If you are running a brokerage and you're out there trying to broker loads, and I take that back. If you're a dispatcher and you're out there dispatching loads, you across a broker and that broker happens to look you up and see that you also have a brokerage, they're not going to broker their loads. They're not going to allow you to move their freight. You have to have it totally separate addresses, utilize a virtual address. You don't want to have it the same because it looks fishy. It looks like you're trying to double broker their loads. Me personally, on the agent side, I definitely would not use you as a dispatcher if you also have everything associated with your broker under the same, because it looks like you're going to try to double broker my loads. So I hope that, and Ms. Shay Dixon said the same thing. She said, run them separately. Okay. All right, so you're welcome, Miss Ebony, and thank you, Miss Shay. I too need advice on finding drivers. I have been passing out flyers. I do have one truck, but it is a box truck and he has some restrictions. I did Indeed and met a truck driver, Miss Joyce Jones. I'm gonna let you be my last question for now. Come unmute yourself, please.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Miss Joyce.
Oh, I meant to fix my video too. So I think I have the gist of the dispatching. I am new to it, but my background is within kind of logistics and compliance and operations. So I'm confident in what I need to do, but I am having a hard time just finding other drivers. So my box truck driver, he's a good gentleman. He's sticking with me. I'm still trying to find him some good loads that doesn't have like a lot of deadhead where he's not really making any money. And I'm not sure what else to do to find more drivers. Like everywhere I go, if I see a truck, they get a flyer. So, whether it's one of the ones that's just a power only load or if it's a regular, like a whole 18-wheeler that I see, because we have quite a few of them in my area. I'm from Philly. So, but I really don't know. I'm not sure what else I should do besides what I'm doing. Just like any advice you have is like, I so would appreciate it.
Okay. So you're utilizing flyers and your truck stops, and anytime you see a truck, are you utilizing social media as well?
No, I wouldn't say I am.
Okay. Are you on LinkedIn?
So when you do social media, like what is the best way to do that?
You have to create your flyers, create your information stating who you are. Me personally, LinkedIn is my best friend. I post my information on LinkedIn. I mean, I utilize Facebook and Instagram. I have a young lady that does my posting for me. But LinkedIn is my best friend. Shippers, brokers, you name it, anything that has anything to do with the transportation industry is going to be on LinkedIn. So you have to get yourself out there in other ways. You also want to utilize the FMCSA. You can run a report every single day. It's going to tell you every single carrier that has gotten a new authority. So, you got to do some footwork as far as some phone calls, giving them a call. Hey, Mr. Jones, congratulations on your new authority. I see you just got your authority. I would love to be able to send you some information in reference to the services I provide. So you got to do some footwork a little bit at the beginning, but definitely you have that presence. Even if you don't use social media for, personal preferences, utilizing social media for your business is definitely a good asset for you. Okay. All right, Miss Ebony Stone, you're going to be my last one for right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't have a question. I must have hit it by accident. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Tracy Brooks said bait loads work. I guess that means putting out loads to see if the driver calls you. I'm assuming that's what you mean by that, Miss Tracy. Take a sweet load to see. All right, so we're gonna move on, everybody. We'll have another Q&A session toward the end. I want to give Mr. Innovator, I call him Mr. Innovative Logistics himself. Mr. Myron, are you still here? Myron, where'd you go? Okay, we'll come back to Myron. All right. So we're gonna get to get to the nitty gritty on what we came here for today. I am definitely a very proud ag scholar, and I am so excited and waiting for my 6-week program. I can't wait for January 10th. But this next lady, I'm pretty sure y'all have seen this little firecracker on social media, seen her at If You Came to Leading Ladies of Logistics conference, and of course all of her platforms. Miss Shaq is just amazing at what she does. This is probably not even all of her resume. This is probably just a little bit of it. But she's amazing. She's amazing to hear speak. She's amazing at what she teaches and how she teaches it. We were talking earlier today, and she thinks that sometimes her scholars get tired of hearing her speak, but we don't. We love to hear her speak. We don't care if she ever have another guest speaker on. Not that we don't like your guest speakers, but it's just how she delivers her information, her passion, and just doing something she literally just does not have to do. I encourage everyone to get out a notepad right now, take some notes, because this is definitely going to be something you want to listen to, something you want to understand, to see if this is how you want to move forward into 2022. I definitely made the decision that this was the next thing that I needed to add to Gold Star Logistics Group. And I made the decision to do it with I'm not gonna say the right person, the only person to do it with, because she's doing it for the culture. So everyone, Miss Shaq, can you please unmute yourself and talk to the people? They want to hear you talk. They want to hear you talk.
Hey, everyone.
Hey,
thank you so much for having me here. It's an absolute pleasure to be here where I can support enhancement and expansion in our businesses throughout the global logistics and international trade industry. And it's so funny. I did tell Tawana, I don't want my Aggie scholars to get sick of hearing me. I got to make sure I have other people. She was like, no, we don't feel like that. Not even thinking, I'm talking to an Aggie scholar. And she was like, no, you can talk to us all week, every week, weekends. And I was like, okay. But it is a pleasure to be here. For anyone that does not know me, my name is Shaquana Teasley. Everyone in the industry calls me Shaq. I'm going to share my quick bio with you guys so I can give you a little bit about me. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. So I want to give you guys a little bit about me. So the name of the company is Agate Solutions. Agate Solutions is a stone. It is actually the 5th. I've learned recently that the stone agate is the 5th stone in the breastplate. And when you think about that, I mean that in a spiritual form, the covering of your breastplate. And it is a stone that represents peace and calm, protection. And so I want to bring a solid solution to the complexities of international trade and global logistics. I've been in this industry for a really long time. And this year I decided to take a step back from a lot of the consulting work that I was doing, government contracting work, and reach back to my community and offer these opportunities here where I feel like this is an underserved community, including myself in many capacities where I've struggled in this industry, and at least be able to crack the door or add a seat for people that just don't even know that this exists or know how to get into the industry at all. Anyone that's interested, I have an ebook that is out, but more importantly, I want you to feel like you know a little bit more about me.
And when they put their name on the side, we burned it in with a wood burner. So everyone, show them your toolbox.
Okay.
As you folks up here, we've got a lot of things to give out tonight. So first up, we've got Jeff.
That sounds like a whole award ceremony.
Hold on, Shaq. Let me get everybody else muted.
Thank you for doing that. Can you guys still hear me okay, Tawana?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I think that is important that we be able to tell our stories and our testimony to people so that they can see that we all can do this, irregardless of what our backgrounds are. I come from Sumner Projects, a large family in a 3-bedroom apartment. God has blessed me tremendously. I was the first to beat odds that many cultures may not feel like are odds, right? So I was the first not to be a teenage mom in my immediate family, the first to graduate high school, the first to go to college, get an advanced degree. I didn't own a home and know what it was like to have a home until I bought one. First one to do so many things. And I thank God for the opportunity to be able to be a gateway to my family and now to my community. I got my associate's degree at Kingsborough Community College. It's important that you all know that all my education has been absolutely free. That includes my degrees and my certifications. Every job I ever worked, I just asked they would pay for one class, maybe 2 classes. Can you help me buy my books? And although it took me longer than most, and I never lived on the campus, and I went to school all day, and I went to school all night and worked all day, God has blessed me with 3 college degrees for absolutely free. And I've had to move around to make that happen. I started my career in logistics at Yellow Freight, which is now Yellow Roadway. And they actually taught me how to do export documentation to the Caribbean. And that was my first introduction to domestic logistics and international logistics. I was a dispatcher for maybe 90 minutes at that trucking company. And I hated every 90 minute of it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the operations behind it. I didn't like the paperwork. I didn't like the tally. It felt like a tally to keep track. And I just didn't enjoy it. And I begged them to get me out of there. I was also in there with all these other men in this booth, this dispatch booth, if you have an idea what that looks like. And I was uncomfortable being in that room with all those men. I was very blessed and fortunate where someone was like, okay, they believed in me and said, I'm gonna teach you how to do exports instead. So after my failed day of dispatch, I never really had any interaction with dispatchers ever again in my career until just this year. And I'll tell you why and how. So after I worked at Yellow, I didn't really know my value. I didn't know what I was taught. I didn't even know how to market myself for a new job when Yellow went through an acquisition and I was being laid off as a temporary employee. But that landed me a job at Arch Chemicals, which is now Lonza. It's a chemical company, and I know a lot about chemicals. So I spend some of my time currently actually completing hazmat documents, which are also known as dangerous goods documents. And I teach courses in that capacity as well, so that my students understand that it's a lucrative field to be in, and you don't have to actually drive hazmat. I think there's a misconception in our communities that we have to do the labor intensive work for us to make money. And that's really not the case in this industry. So I spend time now where I can charge $300 to $500 a document, just depending on who my customer base is, just completing their hazmat documents globally. I worked there for about 5 or 6 years, and I moved on to Mizuno, which is the sneakers you see here. If you never heard of Mizuno, it is a Japanese company. Often people refer to it as the Nike of Japan. They have a huge store right here in Atlanta where the new park has been set up, the new baseball field. And they're out in the Norcross Duluth area. I worked there and became an expert in textiles, apparel, footwear, and sporting goods. And that's where I began to move more in the duty. And anyone that doesn't know what duty is, it's literally when you import something, or if you went on vacation and you came back with 2 bottles of white Hennessy, you're going to pay some duty. So I specialize in how to recover duty. So if you spending $30, $40, $100 when you bring in liquor or something from another country on your cruise, imagine how much that is for a chemical company or for Walmart or for Target. It's millions and millions and millions of dollars. So I specialize in how to recover that duty. It can be complicated, but it's teachable. Also in that space, I began to work with warehouses where I was implementing bonded warehouses and flipping domestic warehouses into what we call foreign trade zones, so that companies can put items inside these warehouses and not pay duty on them, which is very lucrative. After working there, they wanted me to sit in their warehouse in case customs came to inspect it. It made my commute almost 2 hours. So I left there and I got a call to come to Home Depot. When Home Depot corporate office called me, they asked me to distinctly only come in and support foreign trade zones. So strategically, that makes sense to do that at every major port in the United States. So I implemented, activated, and managed of Home Depot's foreign trade zones in every major port. So that includes Savannah, Long Beach, Seattle, and New Jersey to support all the surrounding ports. We were averaging about $16 million a year in duty savings. That was a great opportunity then, and that industry is still a great industry to be in when we talk about foreign trade zones. Home Depot was a great place to work. I learned a lot, but they had a round the clock kind of culture. Like kids would even be sitting at their desks at night sometimes. Anyway, I got a call from Sikorsky Aircraft, which you see at the bottom of your screen with the helicopters. They are the only manufacturer of the Black Hawk helicopter here in the United States and globally. They are the lead in innovative Department of Defense and aerospace. I've worked there for many years. They called me and asked me to move to Connecticut. I negotiated my master's degree in those negotiations. So I never saw an invoice. I don't even know how much it all costs, but I assume that I've gotten well over $300,000 in education for absolutely free. While I was working there, Lockheed Martin acquired Sikorsky Aircraft. And when they acquired that company, I became part of Lockheed and decided to move back to Atlanta. And that's where I reside currently. I always tell people this quote because I think that we do business and we get sometimes heavily involved in the pressures of entrepreneurship or the pressures of starting a new business or even the pressures of enhancing our professional careers. And I always want to reiterate that Maya Angelou says, I've learned that people will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And that's important in your daily interaction where you're dealing with people both professionally and personally, because you want people to feel the way you want to feel when you're dealing with them. And that goes in any stage of your life. And that's my personal opinion. And I've been rewarded for keeping that motto. So I want to talk to you all a little bit about global logistics and international trade, because I think that there's a misconception. When people think global logistics, I've learned this year that they think that means only getting freight from the port. And that is supporting global logistics, but it's also supporting domestic logistics. So many of you here are dispatchers, starting dispatch companies, or have been dispatchers for a long time. So what I want you to do is take an open mind, take a break from everything you think you know or that you do know, and grasp the concept that you are all a part of the global supply chain. Global supply chain consists of transportation, logistics, warehousing, international trade, and actually goods and services. So think about that. If you are a dispatcher, you fall in one of those buckets. And you can't limit what it is that you do to support this overall global supply chain, because what you do also supports a domestic and a global economy. I don't know if you all have been following the infrastructure deal, but there's a lot changing in the world of dispatch. If you have not taken the time, I would recommend you spend some time just digging into what that looks like. I don't think it'll be immediate, but at least in the next 5 years, 3 to 5 years, you should understand what's going to happen to dispatch. What is the plan, I should say? What is the plan in regard to dispatch? So me being on the global logistics side and working with international freight forwarders and licensed customs broker, I've never given business to a dispatcher in my entire career. And please don't take that as a shot, because that's not my intention. I just want you to broaden your mind that the skill that you currently have in dispatch is now transferable to so many other things in this industry, where you can still either add services to your current business, add a new business and do business as in your dispatch business, or maybe it's time to just consider a whole new career path with the skills you already have in global logistics. Global logistics in my professional and my personal, and all up in here in my fact database, truly represents a sustainable, recession-proof industry. Anything that is going to impact the movement of goods around the world is here to stay. Think about the Boston Tea Party. That was international trade. I hate to say it, but I often remind people that we don't want to be reminded of slavery. It was still global logistics. We were treated, our ancestors were treated as cargo and commodities, and bill of ladings was cut on our lives. We don't want to say that, but it's true. It's straight up true. We came off our ancestors came off of cargo ships, and they were blocked and braced like freight. The reason that I even bring that up is to just remind us all that historically, there has always been a movement, and it will always be a movement of some type of freight globally. So what is global logistics? When you think global logistics, you need to think every mode of transportation: truck, train, ship, or plane. That includes the preparation, the packaging, the storage. And when I say real estate facilities at the end of this, I mean distribution centers and warehouses as well. So I want to give you an idea of what happens on the global logistics side so you can have a bigger picture. And it goes like this. Aggie Solutions, how may I help you? Hey, Shaq, this is Stacy. I'm calling from Walmart. And we need to move 2 million lawnmowers. Can you handle it? No problem. Please send my staff the name, number, and contact information for your manufacturer and your supplier in whatever other country you're dealing with. When that conversation is over, we are immediately now reaching out to, I'm going to use China in this example. And I'm saying, hi, manufacturer X in China. Got a call from Walmart today. I heard you guys are making some lawnmowers for them. Yes, we are. Okay, how fast can you make 500,000? How fast can you make 100,000? How fast can you make enough for one container, a 40-foot container? How many can you make to fit in a 53 container? What is your forecast for the next month? What is your forecast for the next quarter? What is your projection for the next 2 to 5 years? We'll have someone send you our forecasting and manufacturing schedule. At that point, I am contacting freight forwarders that I partner with. I am contacting international NVOCCs. You guys probably not familiar with that term, but I'm contacting my licensed customs broker. At no point am I ever contacting a dispatcher. And when I make these connections, I am planning to now distribute freight for 1 to 3 and 3 to 5 years throughout my network. In the global logistics arena, we often feel like dispatchers are in the way and they slow us down because we want to move freight for years at a time. We want to plan for the years. And dispatchers are looking for the quick run. And I could be wrong, but this is how we are, this is how you are perceived. The quick run, what's the money per mile? And we don't work that way. We make decisions based on commodities, not per mile. We make decisions on what's happening in the global supply chain in regard to supply and demand. We're making decisions based on manufacturing schedules and sales distribution schedules in the US. The reason I think it's important for people here to understand that is because there's a place for you in global logistics. You just probably don't know where you fit in yet. So what I make sure I do in my classes is present every single opportunity available to you, explain to you what those opportunities are, and then we start talking about how to actually execute them. Because it's too much to do, of course, in 90 minutes or 30 minutes, because we have to understand every mode of transportation. We have to understand the basics to warehousing. We have to understand hazmat, even if you don't ever want to drive it. Hazmat, I don't have a distinct number, but we cannot disregard it as not being a moneymaker in this industry, even if you never want to touch it. So I want to express the high demand currently for people in global logistics as entrepreneurs and in their professional careers. It lacks diversity, honestly. I'm often the only Black girl in the room. I find myself working harder than I would like to make sure that there's more of us being presented and represented with the skill and knowledge that we currently have already in this industry. We just don't understand how to transfer those skills. So I want to talk about international trade, and I want you to get a glimpse of what that looks like. I just talked to you about an example for global logistics. I sit on the board of directors for the United States Pakistan International Chamber of Commerce. And what does that mean exactly? Pakistan wants to trade goods with the United States. It's that simple. And I'll give you an example. The United States might want to export or get rid of one of our biggest commodities, and I'm just going to make up anything. Let's say it's plastic. Pakistan wants to sell their textiles. I work with those two countries bilaterally to make sure that there is a negotiation to agree on what that looks like, what the international law looks like, what the duty will be, and how to sustain that level of agreement. And then once that's done, we can say to the logistics community, we have an agreement between countries. Now you go move what we've already agreed on. Although I'm an expert in both areas, I currently spend more of my time on the international trade side of things, because that's where the need is for me right now, with so many different, with the trade war with China and so many countries needing advisory services. But one cannot exist without the other. And I would like to be able to support the movement of goods, both logistically, but also give people the guidance that they need if they're interested in getting into international trade. International trade really is more on the compliance side, and it's the understanding of customs regulations. I meet dispatchers that tell me all the time, and I didn't really know any dispatchers until this year when I started doing domestic conferences. And what I hear all the time is that, oh, I do back office too. And I never knew what that meant. I was like, what's back office? And they was like, we do the compliance for our drivers too, DOT, and any type of documentation they need, and making sure they're in compliance. And I was so impressed with that, because I didn't know that dispatchers, some of them had that level of service as well. And people that have that level of service understand that if you can understand DOT law and regulations, what makes you think you can't understand customs law and regulations? Why you can't understand ocean regulations? Why you can't understand air regulations? Why you can't understand rail regulations? Take all that combined and you out here killing it. You just need to know how to understand it, interpret it, and then execute. And I hope that I'm being a gateway. A lot of my Agate scholars are here tonight, and I appreciate you guys being here. I know you're here for your own education, but a lot of you just come to support me. I just wanted to say I sincerely appreciate that. My Agate scholars go on to do great things. Many of them have expanded their businesses to include global services or hazmat services or warehouse services. And some of them don't want entrepreneurship at all. They don't want anything to do with it. They don't like the idea of it. They want their check on Friday, and that's that. And a lot of my students are teachers, healthcare providers, and they want out of those industries since COVID, and they want to work from home. So I give them the different opportunities available to them. We take their professional documents and transform them to represent what it is that they currently have as a skill, and how that can make them marketable, and how to make them attractive on this side of the industry as well. So if anyone is interested, I added 10 seats just for Tawana's I'll call it a podcast, but webinar tonight, because I sold out at the Leading Laser Logistics Conference. And then I'm very strict about how many people I take in my class, because I want it to be an intimate setting. And then I was asked to add 20 seats for an event I did last week. So I added 20. That turned into, I think, 30. And then so I added 10 seats for tonight if anybody is interested in joining my next class, which is in the winter. It starts January 10th, and my website has all the information. It's 6 weeks on Monday nights. Tawana will be there with bells on, not wanting to hear from nobody else but me now that I know. It's 6 weeks. It's from 7 p.m. Eastern to 9 p.m. Eastern, but we're often on the phone to maybe 10:30, making sure everybody has what they need to execute for that week. We do case studies. You'll actually import a product before the class is over. We have many guest speakers that are experts in the industry, because it's important that you leave my class with a network of people that can help guide you. So that way, when you're done, you don't find yourself like, well, how do I find a freight forwarder? How do I find a licensed customs broker? They're all in the class already. So if you don't know me and it's the first time we're having our introductions, please feel free to follow me on social media, which is Agate Solutions LLC on every platform. Here's my business card. My office is currently closed for the holiday, so I'm actually the only person. I'm still stuck in the office because I wanted my team to just go ahead and enjoy their holiday. They've worked so hard. So if you email the office, I do have somebody that's checking email. So if you need assistance, there's still someone there to join you. The Agate experience is impactful. The Agate experience is lifelong. You don't take the class and you never hear from me again. It's for the rest of your career. The Agate experience is a multi-billion-dollar industry. I will never try to make you think differently. It's here. It's just a matter of whether or not you're willing to capitalize on it. I'll put in the chat the link to my class, as well as a payment plan offering that we're doing. All of this expires on 12/31, trying to give people enough time to capitalize. I just don't know if I'll be able to teach the class in the spring. I have a class there right now, but as I get more engulfed in my board appointments, I just don't know how long I can do the teaching. So I just wanted to be honest up front. So I'll put that in the chat. It was a pleasure meeting all of you. And if you have any questions, I'll stick around to answer.
We do have one question. She DM'd me this question. Do you need a 4-year degree to get involved in international trading?
No, you do not. It does depend on what it is that your goal is. But I help a lot of people get into this industry that do not have a 4-year degree. I personally wanted an advanced degree because originally my goal was to be corner office. I was looking to be a senior vice president of a major Fortune 50 company. And once I got to that mountain, I realized that really wasn't the mountain that I wanted to be on. I wanted to be on the entrepreneurship side and make sure that I'm actually giving back. So no, you do not need a college degree, but you do need to be certified in various areas. And you don't need every certification. So I guide my students on what certifications make sense for their career path. I also guide my students on what memberships and associations make sense for their career path. People tell you that you need your network is your net worth, and that's very true, but that doesn't mean you have to join everything, because you'll oversaturate what you're learning instead of targeting exactly what the goal is.
Absolutely. All right, so she has dropped the link in the chat if anybody needs that link for that class. Like she said, only 10 spots available. Can you talk a little bit about bonded warehousing, please?
Sure. So it's hard to talk a lot about that because it's a lot, right? And then I also teach classes for warehousing, but often we're very much aware and familiar with our domestic warehouses because dispatchers and truckers, et cetera, are actually doing business with these facilities. I generally don't do a lot of business with what we call our typical regular warehouse, which is usually class 3 warehousing. I do a lot of business with bonded warehouses and foreign trade zone. And the reason that those are interesting to me or of interest in the global space is because there is an opportunity to delay or even not pay duty at all while having freight there, and international importers and exporters, or what you all might call shippers, that's attractive to them.
All right. After 6 weeks course, I'm interested in HTS classification and drayage. What should be next?
So HTS classification is intense. Well, you let my Agate scholars tell it. They'll say they all are intense. They'll say they're
that one first.
They all are intense. I would not recommend that someone jumps into HTS classification without taking my 6-week course. Your mind gonna be on the floor and picking it back up, trying to and screw it back on. And I was like, "What you doing in this class? You ain't need to take this 6 weeks."
My head was rolling.
I was like, "What you doing in here? You need the 6 weeks." So she's actually Tawana's working a little bit backwards, but
I'm working backwards.
She's not the only one. I think I have actually.
That's all right. I got my study guide.
Yes. So I have like 6 or 7 students that's working that way. So I'll be making sure that I support you, and so that way it all flows in together. But HDS classification, so you're asking the question about HDS classification plus drayage, right? So they're 2 separate things, although they can go together, but they're just totally 2 separate things. And there's a lot of opportunity in both. So there's no quick answer to answer that. It depends on what your goals are, and you won't know your goals until I tell you all the opportunities.
Right.
So another question, let me see. So it's Keisha Harris. We are a trucking company running drayage, looking to add warehousing and transloading in 2022. Congratulations. We work a lot with brokers and freight forwarders. That's great. Do you think we are positioned to capitalize on your course, or should we wait? No, the course is now going to give you the network that you need to come into these spaces and not be out here by yourself. I mean, you could do it by yourself. I never tell somebody that they can't, but why? When you have a network of people that now can support you in that, because who's going to look over your freight forwarder contracts, or who can you ask questions to unless you feel like you got that? Who is going to help you understand letters of credit and your Incoterms and all the other things that are going to, as your business expand? It's a question of, do I want to get the money now, or am I trying to last when many are going to fold? So it's whether or not you're trying to sustain now or you're trying to wing it. Next question. If this level is my ultimate goal, what would you suggest going into dispatching first, or going straight in your field? I can't answer anything about dispatch because I promise you I'm ignorant to that topic, and that's not my area of specialty. I have heard from many people that dispatch doesn't take much overhead. It's low cost to get into. I don't know if that's true. And I think that people that find themselves just trying to get in any capacity of transportation do that, but I'll let Tawana speak more about that.
Yeah, it's definitely a personal preference, because like Shaq said, coming into her space, you have to disregard everything else you learn, about the transportation industry, because it's totally not the same. So it's a personal preference of, where you want to go. Definitely dispatching is going to be a low startup cost. But again, for me, I didn't know about this space, but I am glad I kind of took this route, because I have this going for me now, and then I could, utilize this time to learn something different to add to my roster while I'm learning this very intense, but still having my revenue stream on this side. So I'm gonna be stressed out, but still making some money from dispatch.
That's so funny. I watched this clip of TD Jakes this morning, right? And somebody posted it, but it made me stop. He said, "Sometimes you gotta be fighting over here and building over here."
And building over here.
Right. Now, even for me,
yeah.
I'm building my I have really good corporate clients because I spent my whole career in corporate, right? But I'm building that from an international perspective, where clients that I've worked with to move freight globally in other countries are now I'm reaching back to those same companies where I was helping to move freight and say, let me handle your international trade compliance with customs instead. So I'm building that over here. Right. But then I find myself like, man, what about my students? I want to make sure that the mission was to make sure that we flood this market. And I'm going to try to do that as long as I can. The next question is it hard for a dispatcher to obtain air freight, and what and how do I obtain it? I don't know how to answer that, because when I move air freight, I don't work with a dispatcher. So I don't know how that works on the domestic side. Do dispatchers get air freight currently?
Misha, you want to unmute yourself? I just allowed you so you can clarify your questions. Can you unmute? I just give you unmuting privileges. Okay, go on to the next question.
The next question says, I am very confused by this Zoom class. The title is Talk Dispatch, but the speaker, Shaq, has never heard of dispatchers. I actually was a dispatcher for 90 minutes. I've heard of you, or interacted with them. This would be more beneficial if you can tell us how we use dispatching as an entry and ease into your niche. So what I am trying to offer you is another opportunity to add to your dispatch service. So
Right.
Tawana talked definitely hard about dispatch and gave a lot of Q&A for dispatch. What I'm trying to say to you is if you already have a dispatch company, there's opportunities for you to now expand your level of service. You can add hazmat, you can add warehousing, you can add a classification, you can add drayage, you can add freight forwarding, you can be an MVOCC, you can be a documentation specialist, you can actually help clear freight through customs. That's a lot, but those are some things. So what I'm trying to give you is an entryway to expand your business and not only see dispatch, because I think that it's important that dispatchers understand what is happening in the infrastructure bill. And I don't know if any of you have done that yet. So as transportation is a focal point to sustain, I'm recommending that you add another level of service to the service that you already have. In addition to that, I'm trying to make sure that you all also are aware of the opportunities that are here long-term and sustainable. Because if you're a dispatching domestic freight, why you can't go get the money that's on the global side too? So I'm not a dispatcher, and I'm not a trucker, and I'm not a broker. However, I am an expert in global logistics and international trade. And if I don't come on the platforms where I'm invited and express to you other opportunities for yourself, then I'm not doing what I came to do. And
absolutely. And anybody who's ever been on these that I've been doing most of the year is this is a platform for you guys to, yes, learn your niche and learn what you're doing now in dispatching. But at some point you have to, if you want to, I can't say you have to, if that's something you want to do, you got to level up. There's a lot of dispatchers doing the same exact thing in this industry. So what are you going to do different? How are you going to set yourself apart? So I bring the people onto this platform so you can learn different things to expand your businesses and expand your, and expand what it is that you're doing. So that's why Shaq here, and she's definitely doing exactly, she understood the assignment. So next
Thank
question.
you. And then the same person said, this is a class full of mostly up and coming dispatchers. I was very attentive to the questions that was being asked earlier. Some of them were beginners, some of them were intermediate. However, I heard some very complex questions here for people that seem to be doing this for some time. Next, I think this is more of a comment. We have, even if you are up and coming dispatcher, you need to learn the landscape and not limit yourself according to just dispatch duties. As you learn the markets, you will understand what Shaq means when she doesn't deal with dispatches on a daily, because her duties are at a different part of the supply chain.
Absolutely.
Your skills are applicable outside of others. Thank you for saying that, because that is the goal I'm trying to get across here, that there's so many more opportunities.
Absolutely.
All right. Jackie, that's direct, so I won't say
yes.
that in front.
Hi,
Sorry.
Shaq. Oh, that's okay. I know we spoke briefly this afternoon. You were rushing out, so I just wanted to see if it would be okay to just engage you a little bit, because what we talked about, you were rushing, was I did started the dispatching just to kind of gain that entry into the logistics industry. But I have my background, as we were talking about, was more financial planning, and then I had parlayed that where I was actually insuring the companies that traded on credit. I was insuring their receivables. So my company was actually a global company. Now, I like your programs. I love all of them. I kind of did a lot more research on your stuff. However, I'm more of this kind of a macro person. So I want to see the whole picture. So I felt like my next layer was to just go ahead and do the freight broker here, just domestically, just to understand what that entails, and then layer your global logistics on top of that.
That's a personal choice. Anyone that is here that knows me knows that I give you the beginning to the end. So my class is designed for beginners, and then we get pretty intense as we conclude. So I do have domestic brokers in my class that actually teach, not brokerage, but all the opportunities in brokerage and how you can get into that space. So it's just a personal choice. I won't try to sway you one way or the other, but my class is designed to teach you origin. So you can broker freight domestically, but if you don't understand where it originates, I find it hard, to see what that looks like in the long term. But you have a great background. I think you'll be great at whatever it is that you decide for your career.
Yeah, and I'll come back at you. I can grab what you have. I just feel like there's something that's for me. I just need to understand just the fundamental of this piece. And then I feel that I can grab everything that you have. I don't mind starting. I've done that so many times where kind of get rid of everything that you know and just start to build back up. But it's just something, there's that foundation in there that I can always dig from. I don't know. I've always seen how that works, like where I did this accounting, one of my degrees is in accounting. And I can always pull on that, even though I've done that several years ago. It's just a foundation. Like if I don't have that foundation, I feel like I'm not standing on solid ground. So I love all of your classes and I do intend to do that.
I just want you to keep this in mind, that international trade is all about finance. If we're talking about the global economy, we're talking about finance. So I teach my students, but just make the decision that's best for you.
Okay.
Take care. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Same to you. Okay.
The next question is, do you recommend not to take your intensive if you have no knowledge and have not started in dispatching yet? We don't even discuss dispatching in my class. I don't think I've ever mentioned dispatch at all. I really don't. So my class is designed for beginners or people that need a touch up or refresh. Hi Princess, she said growth mindset, not fixed. Yeah, because we often spend times on what we're comfortable with, right? I'm gonna say this, like I have the same tea every day, right? And when I go places, I'll be like, nah, I'm good. I just want my tea. And then I went to the embassy, the Pakistan embassy, and they brewed a special tea for us for 72 hours that's native to their country. I fell in love with this tea. And although this don't seem applicable right now, it is. When you sit in your comfort zone, you can't learn anything else or experience anything else. And then we complain about how the industry is changing, or as soon as we figure it out, they change the rules. If you are always knowing that every mode of transportation and every way this whole thing is moving and shaking, they could change every rule because you're ready. Because they changed the rule in trucking, you're going to flip the air freight. And then you're going to go back and learn trucking. If they flip the rules on ocean freight, it's cool because I'm going to be over here in air freight. So there's always a level of service that you can provide as you expand that mind. And mindset is important. That's just what it is. Definitely have to level up and be unique. I agree. There's a lot of dispatchers. That's like there's a lot of trucking companies. So what makes you different?
Absolutely.
If dispatch A and dispatch B all the way to Z do the exact same thing, what makes you stand out in the industry? You can stand out by offering services that many don't. All right, I'm going to try to scroll to just actually question marks. That's exactly what I received from the message, Shaq. More info, better opportunities, and helping us take above dispatching. Thank you, Shaq. Thank you, Jada. Keisha Harris said, thank you for broadening my mindset. I'm excited and inspired tremendously. Thank you for that. That's the goal. Portia, it definitely hit home for me when you said you did dispatching for 90 minutes and didn't like it. I currently have a dispatch company and my husband is a freight broker, and we are definitely open to learning more about this level. Thank you for this. Thank you for opening your mind to even think that there's more than what you're comfortable doing, because you're probably doing great in that space. I'm here to grow in every aspect in life. This is Brittany, whatever it is with something I'm already doing with dispatch or something that comes from path. I mean, you could keep dispatch, just add something else to it.
Absolutely.
Anna said, preach, sister. Latasha says, speak on the chat. All right, FMCSA is definitely making major moves. Absolutely. You want to say something about that, Tawana? Because I know that's to be true.
Oh yeah, we talk about it all the time. I drop it if you guys are in my Slack group. I drop it in there all the time. Just because you learn dispatch doesn't mean you don't want to keep up with what's going on in the transportation and logistics industry. I always ask, what's going on February 7th of 2022? And half the dispatchers can't tell me. But we get all kind of alerts about what's going on, all kind of alerts about the changes. So you got to stay abreast on the compliance. You got to stay abreast on what's going on with the industry in the whole. Because if your carrier starts asking you, you have to be able to answer those questions. Like, what is the changes? What am I affected in the changes that's come in February? And I'm not saying what's happening for a reason, because I want you guys to be intrigued to go look it up. February 7th of 2022. They've been talking about it for months now. Go look it up on FMCSA and be able to educate your carriers to see if they are going to be affected of all those changes that's taking place.
Thank you for that. Because if we're going to master our craft, then we need to understand what's ahead of us, right? So I told somebody in a large group the other day, Babyface gonna always have wealth. Yes, the singer Babyface. And why is that? He write the music, he sing the music, he teach the music, and he play the music. Right? If you can do all the things, there's gonna be a bag in every capacity. If they change the rules on the music, he good, he gonna go sing it. Right?
I know that's
they change the rules on the instrument. It's all good. I'm gonna write it. He gonna make his. So next question from Sonia. I'm interested in drayage. Do you offer a course in drayage? Yes, I offer a course in drayage. And I'm gonna add another one for January because I usually only do them every like 2 or 3 months, but there's a high demand for drayage. I just did one, I don't know, right before Thanksgiving. So I'll add one in January. Just keep an eye out on the site. Keep in mind too, for anyone here that is interested in drayage, don't think that you're going to take a quick drayage course and you're going to roll to the port and be a millionaire. No, I'm so serious. People always say to me, I took your drayage course and they won't let me in at the port. Or I went in and I only got 2 loads. Okay, but what's the long-term plan? The long-term plan is what? Understanding where the freight came from. If it's at the port, it came from somewhere. I'm going to teach you that part. So good question. You'll see when it comes out. I'll post it on my Instagram. Definitely appreciate this, Shaq. I really didn't know there was so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Change in CDL requirements. I don't have no opinion about that.
Oh, she's commenting on February 7th.
On the February. Okay. I think I answered all the questions. Janice Gray has her hand up.
Let me unmute her. Go ahead, Janice.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to speak to the comments where it seemed to be confused about Shaq not knowing dispatch, but this was a dispatch chat room. Shaq was here to give us different aspects of what you can do outside of dispatch, because keep in mind, remember, dispatch is like at the bottom of the level, because everything that all that commodity that you're dispatching, it originates globally, which is part of the global supply chain that Shaq is talking about. All that stuff has to get imported in or exported out, and you're dispatching that. So this is giving you something else to look at outside of dispatching, like another flavor that you can add to your business and grow your business to another level.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. It's all about mindset. You have to be very open, especially when you come to open forums like this. We utilize this platform for whatever you guys need help with, or whoever I can bring in here to give you the knowledge or give you something else to better your business. So you just have to have an open mind for that. I can't do that for you. So but I appreciate that. Is your drayage course for entry level, or are there certain levels of the course?
So drayage is really more entry level, teaching you what you need to get into the port. So it'll help you start off. The 6-week course will prepare you for how to sustain in that longer term.
Definitely for you, Miss Crystal. That's your next step, honey. Miss Shaylin Dixon said, knowledge is what will determine how successful you are in this industry. A to the man, to the amen.
Right.
Yes. She said you already know. Any other questions for Miss Shaq? Well, we definitely, as always, appreciate you. I'm definitely sure that a lot of people on this call definitely appreciate the information, didn't know some of the things that they could add to their background in order to be a little bit more successful in this industry. And again, it's all about mindset. You definitely have to bring an open mind in taking any of her courses. And again, like she said, you're just not going to take a course, one of her courses, and roll up on the port and think you're about to make $1 million. But it's definitely an investment. It's a smart investment. We even getting a study group together because honey, we trying to make it do what it do for this doggone course. But I appreciate you, Shaq. If you want to stick around for a little bit, see if anybody else has any more questions. We got about 10 more minutes of some other slides, but definitely thank you so much for being here. We appreciate the information. And I'm gonna take my big old book. If y'all, let me tell you, when you start this course, you gotta get this. You see this? You gotta get.
Wait, let me tell you, I give that book to you electronically. She decided she wanted to touch.
No, I needed to mark on mine.
She said no.
I had to go and make my own binder.
I'm not.
I needed to mark on mine. It's so many tabs. Binder. I sure did.
Wait till that. Wait, watch what that book look like come January. I'm gonna stick around. I'm gonna put myself on mute and I'll be here. If anybody has questions, you can message me. I'll respond. I'll just put myself on mute because I'm interested to seeing more so I can learn more about dispatch.
Yay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Shaq. All right, so we got a few more things. Mr. Myron, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and then we'll let you guys go. I want to hold you up on this wonderful Monday evening. Oh, let me go back. So Mr. Myron, do you have anything you want to talk about to the people, just getting them ready for 2022 with dispatching and any information or anything you want to give, or do you guys have any questions for Mr. Innovative Logistics?
First of all, I just want to say good evening, everybody. I think this is people like this is like one of the first steps into investing into your future. Just showing up on these calls like this to learn more about what you want to do, and doing your research. And fortunately for y'all got on here with some great people on here. You got Miss Tawana on here, you got Shaq on here. Man,
and we got Myron.
Y'all doing it big on here. I think Shay Dixon on here too.
Shay on here. We'll play on this.
Yeah, look, Shay in the building. It's heavy hitter.
Yeah, y'all doing it real big. So
yeah, Shay don't play. Yeah, Shay said we roll up together. Yeah, Shay.
Yes. Let me unmute big play.
Shay big play.
It's a great thing.
Listen, I was laughing. We always are going to show up. I'm going to be a scholar. And, I'm always going to show up for you, Shaq. T, I'm always going to show up. So I'm just happy to be a part of the conversation as always. I'm looking forward to 2022.
Yeah.
Yes, we got a lot planned coming up in 2022.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's going to be a great year. 2022 is going to be a year of separation and elevation.
That's right.
I know me and Tawana got a couple things lined up. I know at some point she'll probably talk about that. I don't know, maybe not tonight, but another time.
I had a slide on it. I thought I had.
You got a slide on it already?
I thought I did. Oh, here you go. So just to discuss some of the up and coming things that we have coming up, you guys should definitely have seen posted. We are doing a huge supply drive for Harper Archer Elementary School. If you're not in Atlanta, you have no idea what Harper Archer is, but donate anyway because it's a good cause. We went to the school a couple of weeks ago and we read Christmas stories to them. They're in desperate need. They're in one of Atlanta's low income area. So they're in desperate needs of masks, school supplies. As you know, we do school supply drives in August. And then when people come back for the brand new year, them school supplies gone. If you have kids, y'all know the pencils gone, the book bag raggedy. So we want to re-up this school. So the link is in my bio, it's in Shay's bio, and it's also on my website. My next dispatch class is going to be January 15th to the 16th. It's a 2-day course. And our big boot camp class, full all-day class with myself and Mr. Innovative Logistics is going to be February 5th here in Atlanta, Georgia at the Airport Marriott. And we have a lot more coming up. Shay and I will be posting some stuff that's coming up within the next couple of months as well. So definitely stay tuned because 2022 is, you got to be in it's enough of sitting at the table and getting in the room. Y'all just need to get y'all whole mindset together for what it is that you're looking for the year. You know, what it is that you want to learn, where do you want to be, you know, how you plan on leveling up, what are you going to do different? If you're going to plan on going into 2022 and doing the same exact thing you're doing this year, then however you're going to come out December 31st, 2021 is how you're going to come out of December 31st, 2022. So you got to make some type of changes and figure out, you know, how it is, whoever classes you're going to take or whatever you want to do, whatever type of building, just make up your mind to make that happen. Because next year is definitely the year to make it happen. So that's what we got coming up. That's just a few of the things that we have coming up. We have a networking event coming up on January 22nd here in Atlanta as well. That information will go out. That will go out sometime this week as well. Anybody looking, I think somebody had asked a question earlier in reference to TMS systems. All these will also be posted on my website. The discount codes are active and ready for you guys to use. So take advantage if you do not have a dispatch TMS system, and take advantage of some of these discount codes with Interportal. If you have any questions on Interportal, they have a demo. If I can answer any questions for you, I'll definitely answer any questions I can for you, but definitely take advantage of the discounts that they have set aside for you guys as well.
Yeah, it's the best dispatching software out there on the market. So, you know.
It is. It's very user-friendly, you guys. Any other questions for myself, for Myron, for Shaq, before we let you guys go? Any questions, comments, concerns, issues? Anyone?
I know, Tawana, something I kept hearing earlier, and I don't know, you know, where the people kind of get the information from or whatever. So as dispatchers, I hear people always saying they're looking for drivers. You know, you're actually looking for carriers, right? As a dispatcher, you're looking for a carrier. You're not looking for drivers. You're only looking for drivers if you own trucks and you want to put somebody in the truck to drive the truck. Right. So you're looking for carriers. You're not even looking for owner operators, really. A lot of time owner operators, they run up under other people's authority. And I'm gonna tell you, just from my experience, they have to go through somebody else to get signed up with your program, right? Because they don't have an MC most of the time, right? So you're looking for carriers. So that's just something. Just, you know, the terminology is different. You know, a lot of people, they teach these courses and things like that, but they need to break it down and kind of tell you exactly what you need to be looking for. Because I'm hearing a lot of people say, I'm looking for drivers. If you don't have a driver recruiting service, or if you're not a carrier that has a truck, you're not looking for drivers. You're looking for carriers. If you're a dispatching company. So I wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, you know, the person driving the truck is not the person that owns the truck nowadays in this industry. Most people are fleet owners that hire drivers. So you definitely want to be in search of the person who owns the truck. They're the ones who have the permission to utilize that authority and permission to move freight for that particular truck. So you definitely want to be looking for carriers when you are, you know, when you're out there doing your search. So like he said, terminology is definitely the key. It can be very, very misleading as far as what it is that you're looking for. Another thing I wanted to touch on briefly, I've been seeing this a lot. I know we probably talk about this on every one of our monthly calls, but it was brought up earlier this week when we talked about the FMCSA wanted to regulate dispatchers. And one of the questions came about why would dispatchers need to be regulated? One young lady posts all the time that she has dedicated freight. One thing for sure, 2 things for certain. We got brokers on this line. If Shay's still on here, dispatchers we don't have authorities. Dispatchers cannot have dedicated freight. There's no way you can have dedicated freight. You don't have the authority and you don't have the insurance to post that you have dedicated freight. If you say you have dedicated freight, you're probably saying that because you are dealing with a broker that you are trying to help them get their freight moved. So when you're posting it in your terminology and your wording, you must say, I'm working with a broker, and this is a freight that we have moved. Because you saying that you have dedicated freight would mean that you have freight that you want moved yourself, which cannot happen. So someone had got their panties all in the wire because of my comment on the post in the group when I said I can't wait for them to regulate dispatches and make us get bonds, because that's definitely going to set us apart from the ones that are doing it correctly and the ones that aren't. So I feel like dispatchers definitely should be regulated.
Absolutely.
Hell, send me my invoice right now for my $75,000 bond, because that's definitely going to set the difference between a dispatcher that's doing it correctly and a dispatcher just out here just trying to get it out the mud. And I get it. I understand. You got to get it no matter the way you can. But at the end of the day, it sets a bad example for other dispatchers, and it sets a bad example for those ones that are out here trying to, run their company like legitimate. It's just bad business to post that you have dedicated freight. You can always post that you work with a broker. Nothing wrong with that. But to post that you have dedicated freight is definitely false, and it's also double brokering. And this is why a lot of brokers don't like to deal with dispatchers, and why this subject keeps coming up with the FMCSA and with brokers because of the way dispatchers are being portrayed. So just be mindful of the way that you're running your business, because a lot of us are out here really running our business like business. This not no trap house. Like we run this thing like a true business. We got business bank accounts, LLCs, people that actually work for us. So, we want to maintain a good level of integrity for our business. So just keep that in mind when you're making your posts. Be very transparent. If a carrier is going to work with you, they're going to work with you because of who you are and your integrity. They're not going to work with you because you say you have dedicated freight. And you getting paid by a carrier, by a broker, and then turn around and paying carriers is definitely out of the question. We don't move like that. Dispatchers always get paid by carriers, not brokers. Okay, that's my little take on that. Myron, you have anything to say on that before we answer these last two questions on here?
No, I can't wait for them to regulate it, because right now there's no accountability for the dispatching companies. The brokers are being held accountable, carriers are being held accountable, but dispatchers aren't. So if a broker does something that's unethical, carrier does something that's not right, you're able to report them. Absolutely. Right. But if a dispatcher does something, what do?
Small claims court.
That's all you can do.
That takes a long time.
There's no system to put in there and say, hey, don't mess with such and such dispatching. They book terrible loads, or they don't know how to trip plan, or they don't know, what they're doing over there. So I think it's the best thing for everybody,
Absolutely.
Keep everybody on the up and
up. Do you think it's more beneficial to charge for the week or a percentage of each load? Example, $300 per week versus $800 per load. What do you think, Myron?
You said $800 per load.
I'm sorry, 8% per load. She wants to know, example, $300 a week or 8% per load.
So percentage is always the best way to go, in my opinion, because if you get paid a flat rate weekly, what happens if you don't book no loads for these folks? Or you book terrible loads for these folks? I'm not the type of person that want to get paid for doing nothing, right? I want to earn every day. I want to earn my money. And that's what these carriers want you to do. That's how you build these relationships with these folks, right? Because if they constantly pay you $300 a week and it's not really benefiting them, you winning and they losing, right? They done already spent enough money on this equipment, and they paying their drivers and all this stuff out here. So now they just feel like you're getting over on them, because there's no sense of urgency. If you automatically know you're gonna get $300 at the end of the week, where's your sense of urgency to make sure they got loads every day? What's gonna keep you motivated? But if you getting paid by the percentage, if you ain't booking no loads, you ain't making no money. So you're gonna make yourself go out there and get it. Right. And whoever that is that said something about charging 8%, how much experience do you have to charge 8%? How do you quantify your percentage? Right? Because if you're brand new to dispatching you don't need to be charging 8%. You need to show some love until you get your credibility built up to actually see, show folks that you know what you're doing. You don't go on no job that you never been on before and you just starting to get like top dollar pay for it, right? You got to go through training, you got to get some experience, you got to learn this, you got to learn that, so it's percentage all day for me.
Yeah, and and just to talk about it on the flip side, if you dispatch for someone and you're charging 10%, that person moves $9,000 worth of freight that week, and instead of 10%, which is $900, you're getting just $300. So you kind of have to look at it on both aspects, but definitely just charging someone $300 and you're not really gonna have that motivation to get up and move and do anything for them because you already know you're gonna get $300 at the end of the day. So percentage is always the best for me. That's just my preference. But you always have the option to see how it works on both ends and see which one works better for you. Thank you, Miss Carolyn. All right. Any other questions? All right, so this is it for us for the year. You'll definitely see my schedule. Thank you, fam. I'm sorry, I'm confused. I'm starting my trucking company. I'm going to be a fleet owner. I'm not sure what class I need to take. I'm not driving. I'm going to run the business as an owner operator. Let me unmute you because I don't want to mispronounce your name. I hate mispronouncing people because people always call me Tawana and that's not my name. So I don't want to mispronounce your name. To the person who asked that question.
Look, I'll be called
Frenchie, but they call me French. My name is Francesca, but they call me Frenchie.
Frenchie. Okay, Miss Francesca. Go ahead with your question.
So I'm trying to build a trucking company. And I'm confused on what class I need to take, like what mentor I'm going with, because I don't know if it's a dispatcher or I'm confused. I'm not gonna be the driver. I'm just gonna be hiring people to like move, like get on the routes and stuff.
So you're gonna be a fleet owner?
Yeah, a fleet owner.
You have trucks already?
No, that I need to look for carriers. So that's why before I take the class, I want to know what class do I need to take?
Yeah, you're really confused.
Okay, so no, you don't need to look for carriers because you will be considered a carrier.
Yeah.
So for you, I would definitely recommend Innovative Logistics Trucking Mentorship to guide you into the trucking industry itself. Because you will be a carrier yourself. So you definitely got the terminology a little misconstrued. So before you go any further, be sure to reach out to Mr. Myra and get some information on the programs that they offer.
Okay, so I'm basically the owner operator, right?
No, you're not.
No.
Oh yeah,
you're not an owner operator. That's why
you said you're not driving, right?
You're not driving. Yeah.
No, I'm not driving. I'm just going to be
I'm just gonna own some trucks.
I'm investing in my own
find you some
company.
drivers to put in your truck, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
We're gonna get you
right. That is not an owner operator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my LLC and I got everything done. Just need to know like what mentor.
Thank you, Shaq. Yeah, so definitely, yes, not an owner operator. Owner operator means you own and drive your truck. So you just want to own your truck, which means you'll be a fleet owner. So definitely before you move any further, even if it's just a consultation, so that you're not getting, misguided or getting kind of confused going down the road. This is a very expensive industry to make mistakes in. So you definitely, if you're spending $100 on the consultation to get the correct information that you need, that's way better than starting off where you are right now, especially with your terminology being a little all over the place.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. No problem. Thank you very much for all the great information. You guys are great. All right. So we're going to wrap this up. Again, I appreciate you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys support the rest for the whole year. Just to wrap it up for the year, again, just decide where you guys want to go and how you want to grow in 2022. And we definitely look forward to seeing you guys on the other side. with your business increasing and growing and learning more. I appreciate your support throughout the year. We definitely appreciate you guys for being here. And we will see you guys in 2022. Enjoy your holidays. And I appreciate you guys. See you next year. Nighty night.
Have a great evening, everybody.
Good night.